The morning sky over Seoul burned red when the alien ships first appeared. Commander Taemin Park stood on the roof of the military bunker, watching massive black shapes block out the sun. Each ship was the size of a city, moving slowly through the clouds like metal mountains. "Sir, we're getting reports from all over the world," Captain J-Ho Lee said, climbing up behind him. "New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow. They're everywhere." Taemin nodded grimly. He had known this day might come, but he had hoped Earth would have more time to prepare. The aliens had been watching them for months, sending small scout ships that disappeared whenever human forces got close. Now the waiting was over. "How long until our defense fleet reaches orbit?" Taemin asked. 20 minutes, sir, but..." J-Ho hesitated. "The alien ships are already targeting our satellites. We're losing communications fast." The first energy beam came down like lightning made of blue fire. It struck the center of Seoul, and the entire city block simply vanished. No explosion, no debris. One moment there were buildings full of people. The next moment there was only empty air and a perfect circular hole in the ground. Taemin watched in horror as more beams fell from the sky. Each one erased another piece of his city, another 1,000 lives. The aliens weren't trying to conquer Earth, they were erasing it. "All units fall back to the underground shelters," he ordered into his radio. "This is not a battle we can win today." 3 months later, Taemin stood in the same spot. The building beneath him was gone, along with most of Seoul. He lived now in the deep tunnels that had once been subway stations, leading 50,000 survivors in a world that no longer belonged to humans. The aliens had been thorough. They had burned every major city, poisoned the rivers, and made the air toxic in many places. Then, as suddenly as they had arrived, they left. Their massive ships simply disappeared one day, leaving Earth a broken wasteland. "We've found something," Dr. Sojin Kim said, walking up to him through the rubble. Her clothes were dirty and torn, but her eyes were bright with excitement. "You need to come see this." Sojin led him through the ruins of what had once been Busan. The coastal city had been hit just as hard as Seoul, but the harbor areas were less damaged. She stopped at the edge of a massive crater that stretched into the ocean. "Look there," she pointed. In the center of the crater, half buried in mud and twisted metal, lay an alien ship, but this one was different from the city-sized monsters that had destroyed Earth. It was smaller, maybe a kilometer long, and it was clearly damaged. Dark fluid leaked from cracks in its black hull, and parts of it seemed to be melting. "How did we miss this for 3 months?" Taemin asked. "It was underwater," Sojin explained. "The tides uncovered it yesterday. My team has been studying it since dawn." She pulled out a small device that beeped and flashed. "It's not like the other ships. This one is hurt, maybe dying." They climbed down into the crater, followed by a team of soldiers and scientists. Up close, the alien ship was even more strange. Its hull wasn't made of metal like human ships. It looked almost alive, with veins running through it that pulsed weakly with dim light. "Can we get inside?" Taemin asked. Sojin nodded and led him to a tear in the hull. The opening was just big enough for humans to crawl through. Inside, the ship was dark and warm, like being inside a giant animal. The walls were smooth and curved, and they seemed to breathe slowly. "This is impossible," whispered Hee-won Choi, the young pilot who had volunteered to explore with them. "It's like the ship is alive." "Maybe it is," Sojin said. She ran her hand along the wall, and the surface glowed faintly at her touch. "I think these aliens don't build their ships. They grow them." They moved deeper into the vessel, their flashlights creating dancing shadows on the strange walls. The corridors were too tall for humans, clearly designed for beings much larger than them. But the ship felt empty now, abandoned. "Look at this," J-Ho called from ahead. He stood in front of what might have been a control room. Dozens of strange symbols covered the walls, some still glowing weakly. In the center was a pool of dark liquid that reflected their lights. "Some kind of command center," Sojin said, studying the alien writing. "But why would they leave a ship behind?" "Maybe they didn't have a choice," Taemin said grimly. He had noticed the blast marks on the inner walls, the places where the ship's own systems had been damaged by weapons fire. "I don't think this ship was shot down by us. I think it was shot down by them. The implications hit them all at the same time. The aliens had left one of their own behind. Either the ship had been damaged and couldn't keep up, or its crew had done something to anger their commanders. Either way, humanity now had something they had never possessed before. An alien warship. "Can we fix it?" Taemin asked. Sojin was quiet for a long moment, studying the strange technology around them. I don't know, she said finally. But we have to try. This might be our only chance to hit back at them. Over the following weeks, more survivors arrived at the crash site. Word spread through the underground settlements that Commander Park had found an alien ship. Engineers, scientists, doctors, and soldiers made the dangerous journey across the poisoned landscape to see the vessel for themselves. It's not just a ship, Sojin explained to the growing crowd of survivors. It's like a living creature that's been trained to fight. The aliens don't just pilot these things. They bond with them, become part of them. Then we learn to do the same, Taman said firmly. We learn their secrets and we use them. They came here to wipe us out like insects. Now we show them what happens when insects bite back. The work began immediately. Teams of scientists and engineers descended into the alien ship every day, mapping its systems and trying to understand its technology. It was slow, dangerous work. The ship's biological systems were failing and parts of it were slowly dying. But humanity had something the aliens didn't expect: the desperate determination of a species facing extinction. They would learn to heal this dying ship, and then they would use it to bring revenge to those who had tried to destroy them. 18 months had passed since they found the alien ship. The survivors now called it Bukan, which meant revenge in their old language. Dr. Sojin Kim lived inside the vessel now, sleeping in a small room she had built near the main corridor. The ship had become her entire world. The problem isn't mechanical, she explained to Commander Taman Park as they walked through the ship's belly. These aliens grow their ships like we grow plants, and this one is sick, maybe dying. The corridor around them pulsed weakly with dim blue light. The walls felt warm to the touch, but they were getting cooler each day. In some sections, the biological material had turned black and hard, completely dead. How long do we have? Taman asked. Maybe 6 months before the whole ship dies, Sojin replied, unless we can figure out how to heal it. They entered the main workspace where dozens of humans were studying alien technology. Engineer Dongwoo Nam was taking apart what looked like a weapon, his hands covered in the strange dark fluid that leaked from damaged systems. Dr. Mi Kyung-yu sat surrounded by alien computer cores, trying to understand how they worked. Any progress? Taman asked. The weapons are organic too, Dongwoo said without looking up. They don't fire bullets or lasers. They shoot some kind of living plasma that eats through anything it touches, but I can't make them work without the ship's main systems. And the computers are impossible, Mi Kyung added, frustrated. They don't use electricity like ours. They use some kind of biological signals like brainwaves. I can't even turn them on. Sojin had been thinking about this problem for months. The alien ship wasn't just a machine that could be repaired with tools and spare parts. It was a living thing that needed to be healed, not fixed. And healing required something humans didn't have: the right kind of biology. I have an idea, she said quietly, but nobody's going to like it. She led them to the medical bay that Dr. Kyung Ho An had set up near the ship's center. An was their best doctor, and he had been studying the alien biological systems for months. His face was grim when they arrived. I've been looking at the ship's neural networks, he said, pointing to samples under a microscope. They're similar to human brain tissue, but much more complex. I think the aliens connect their nervous systems directly to their ships. Connect how? Taman asked. Surgically, An replied. They put alien tissue inside their bodies and wire their brains into the ship's controls. The pilot doesn't just fly the ship. The pilot becomes part of the ship. The room was quiet for a moment as everyone understood what this meant. To make the alien ship work, humans would have to let alien biology become part of their own bodies. That's insane, Dongwoo said. We don't know what that would do to a human mind. It might kill whoever tries it, An admitted. But it might also be the only way to save the ship. Sojin looked at the alien tissue samples. Under the microscope, they looked almost like human cells, but twisted into shapes that shouldn't exist. The idea of putting that inside her own body made her sick, but she thought about the burned ruins of Seoul, about the billions of people who had died, about the aliens who had left Earth a wasteland. I'll do it, she said. No, Taemin said immediately. You're too important. If something goes wrong, we lose our best scientist, and then who? Sojin asked. We need someone who understands both the technology and the biology. We need someone who can handle the mental strain of connecting to an alien computer system. Before anyone could answer, Hye Wan Choi walked into the medical bay. The young pilot had been exploring the ship's flight controls, trying to understand how the aliens steered something so large. Her face was determined, almost angry. "I heard what you're talking about," she said. "I want to volunteer." "HFY, this isn't like learning to fly a new aircraft," Taemin warned. "This could change you permanently, assuming it doesn't kill you." "Good," she replied fiercely. "I want to change. I want to become something that can hurt them like they hurt us. My parents died in the first attack on Seoul. My little brother died in the shelters when we ran out of medicine. I have nothing left to lose and everything to gain." Dr. An spent 2 weeks preparing for the surgery. He studied every piece of alien biology they had found, trying to understand how it might interact with human tissue. The ship's medical bay had equipment that seemed designed for this kind of operation, but everything was built for creatures much larger than humans. "The alien neural tissue needs to connect to your spinal cord and brainstem," he explained to HFY the night before the operation. "If it works, you'll be able to control the ship's systems directly with your thoughts. But you'll also have alien thoughts in your head, alien instincts." "Will I still be me?" she asked. "I don't know," he admitted. "Nobody has ever tried this before." The surgery took 16 hours. HFY lay on the alien operating table while An carefully connected threads of alien tissue to her nervous system. The ship seemed to sense what was happening. The lights grew brighter and the walls pulsed faster, like a heartbeat speeding up with excitement. When HFY finally woke up, her eyes had changed. They still looked human, but there were flecks of the same blue light that glowed in the ship's corridors. She sat up slowly and the lights around her flickered in response to her movements. "How do you feel?" An asked nervously. She was quiet for a long moment, as if listening to something only she could hear. "Different," she said finally. I can feel the ship. It's hurt and scared and angry. It wants to fly again, but it's too weak." She stood up and walked to the nearest wall. When she placed her hand against it, the entire section glowed brightly. Throughout the ship, systems that had been dark for months suddenly came to life. Computers hummed, weapons powered up, and the artificial gravity turned on for the first time. "It's working," Mi-kyung said in amazement, watching her instruments come alive. "The ship is responding to her." But the celebration was brief. HFY suddenly screamed and fell to her knees, clutching her head. The ship's lights flashed wildly and several computer cores sparked and died. "What's happening?" Taemin demanded. "The ship is too damaged," HFY gasped. "I can feel all the broken parts, all the places where it's dying." "It hurts." Dr. An helped her to a chair. "We need more people," he said grimly. "One person can't heal an entire ship. We need a whole crew connected to it." Over the following months, more volunteers came forward. Engineers who wanted to bond with the ship's weapon systems. Doctors who wanted to understand its biological processes. Pilots who wanted to help HFY control its massive bulk. Each surgery was dangerous and not everyone survived. But those who did became something new, part human, part alien, perfectly adapted to work with the ship's strange technology. The ship began to heal. Its corridors grew brighter, its systems grew stronger, and its weapons came online. The humans inside it changed too, developing new abilities and instincts that came from their alien biology. They could see in different spectrums of light, process information faster, and share thoughts with each other through the ship's neural network. Commander Taemin Park was the last to undergo the surgery. As the ship's captain, he needed the deepest connection to its systems. When he woke up, his mind was no longer entirely his own. He could feel every part of the ship, every crew member, every weapon and system. He had become something that had never existed before, a hybrid of human determination and alien technology. "Are we ready?" he asked, speaking both aloud and through the ship's neural network. The answer came from 50 voices speaking as one. "Yes, Captain. Let's go hunting." The Buchan lifted off from Earth's poisoned surface on a cold morning, 2 years after the invasion. Captain Taemin Park felt the ship's joy as it finally flew again, its biological system singing with health and power. Through the neural link, he shared that joy with his crew of 2,000 survivors who had become something more than human. Navigation. "Plot a course for the Kepler system," he ordered, his thoughts traveling instantly through the ship's neural network. "Course plotted." "Captain," came the reply from Lieutenant Young-Soo Han, who was connected to the ship's navigation systems. "The alien mining station should be completely undefended. Our intelligence says it's just a resource extraction facility. HFY, now permanently bonded to the ship's flight controls, felt the Bukan's eagerness to hunt. "The ship wants to move fast, Captain. It's been waiting so long for this." "Then let's not disappoint it," Taemin replied. The journey to Kepler 442 took 6 days through hyperspace. The Bukan moved differently than human ships, not just flying through space, but swimming through it like a living creature. The hybrid crew adapted quickly to this new way of travel, their altered biology allowing them to process the strange sensations of faster-than-light flight. Dr. Sojin Kim, now the ship's chief science officer, spent the journey studying the alien mining station through captured data files. "It's bigger than we thought," she reported during a briefing. "Maybe 10,000 aliens working there, plus automated defense systems." "What kind of defenses?" asked Captain Jae-ho Lee, who now commanded the ship's weapons through his neural connection. "Energy shields, plasma cannons, fighter ships," Sojin replied. "But they're all designed to fight other alien ships. They won't be expecting our hybrid weapons." The Bukan had weapons that no other ship in the galaxy possessed. Human engineers had modified the alien plasma cannons to fire projectiles made from Earth materials. The biological targeting systems had been enhanced with human tactical programming. The ship could fight like an alien vessel when it needed to, but it could also fight like a human warship, using strategies the aliens had never seen. "Dropping out of hyperspace in 30 seconds, Young-Soo announced. Through the ship's sensors, Taemin saw the Kepler system appear around them. The mining station hung in space near the 4th planet, a massive structure that looked like a metal flower with thousands of arms reaching out to harvest asteroids. Smaller ships moved between the arms like insects, carrying loads of precious metals and exotic matter. "They haven't detected us yet," reported Major Yoon-ji Lim from the intelligence station. "Their sensors are focused on watching for other alien ships, not hybrid vessels." "Take us in close, Haiwan," Taemin ordered. "Let's announce ourselves properly." The Bukan moved toward the mining station like a hunting shark, its biomechanical hull shifting color to blend with the darkness of space. The hybrid crew felt the ship's predatory instincts awakening, and their own human desire for revenge burning alongside it. "Weapons range in 10 seconds, Jae-ho reported, his hands dancing over controls that responded to his thoughts as much as his touch. "Open fire," Taemin commanded. The Bukan's weapons lit up space with deadly beauty. Plasma cannons fired streams of living energy that ate through the station's shields like acid. Projectile weapons launched shells filled with human explosives that detonated inside the alien structure, causing damage the station's repair systems couldn't handle. Fighter bays opened, releasing hybrid craft piloted by humans whose nervous systems were connected directly to their ship's controls. The mining station's defenses tried to respond, but they were helpless against weapons they didn't understand. Energy shields that could stop alien plasma were useless against human explosives. Targeting computers designed to track alien ships couldn't lock onto the Bukan's shifting biomechanical signature. "Their fighters are launching," Yoon-ji reported. "Looks like about 50 ships." "Let them come," Hye-won said grimly. Through her connection to the Bukan, she could feel the alien fighters approaching like a swarm of angry wasps. But she also felt the ship's confidence. It had been designed to fight multiple enemies at once. The alien fighters attacked in perfect formation, firing precisely coordinated energy beams. Against a normal alien ship, their tactics would have been devastating, but the Bukan didn't fight like an alien ship. Hye-won threw it into a spinning dive that no alien pilot would have attempted, using human fighter tactics on a vessel a kilometer long. The alien formation broke apart in confusion as their target suddenly moved like a much smaller ship. Human fighter pilots, their reflexes enhanced by alien neural implants, tore through the scattered enemy craft with hybrid weapons that fired faster and hit harder than anything the aliens had faced. "Station is requesting help from the nearest fleet base," Young-Soo reported from communications. "Should I jam their signal?" "No," Taemin said with grim satisfaction. "Let them call for help. I want every alien in this sector to know we're here." The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the mining station was a broken wreck drifting in space. Its exotic matter storage tanks ruptured and leaking their precious contents into the void. Every alien fighter had been destroyed, and the Bukan had taken only minor damage to its outer hull. But Taemin wasn't finished. He ordered the ship to dock with the station's main communications array, still intact in the central hub. Through the ship's biomechanical interface systems, He connected directly to the alien communication network. His message went out across the entire alien empire, transmitted on every frequency and every language the aliens used. "This is humanity. You thought you killed us all. You were wrong. We found one of your ships. We made it better. We made ourselves better. Now we're coming for all of you." He paused, feeling the shock and fear ripple through the alien networks as his words reached distant worlds. "You came to our home and burned our cities. You killed our families and poisoned our world. You left us for dead like insects. Now you'll learn what happens when insects evolve." The message ended, but Taman wasn't done. He downloaded the station's entire database, stealing every piece of information about alien military installations, trade routes, and resource facilities. The knowledge flowed through the ship's neural network, shared instantly with every crew member. "Set course for the Vega system," he ordered. "They have a supply depot there. It's time for our second lesson." As the Buchan moved away from the destroyed mining station, its hybrid crew felt a new emotion flowing through the ship's neural network. It wasn't just the satisfaction of victory or the hunger for more battle. It was something deeper and more dangerous. The joy of a predator that had finally found worthy prey. Word of the attack spread faster than light through alien space. On 1,000 worlds, alien commanders received reports of the impossible. A dead species had returned from extinction, flying in a ship that shouldn't exist, using weapons that violated every rule of galactic warfare. The aliens had always believed they were the superior species, the rightful rulers of the galaxy. They had exterminated dozens of races that they considered inferior, including humanity. But now those extinct humans were hunting them with their own technology, improved and made deadlier by human creativity and alien biology working together. For the first time in their history, the aliens felt fear. Not the simple concern of facing a dangerous enemy, but the deep, primal terror of prey animals who suddenly realized they were being stalked by something stronger and smarter than themselves. The Buchan and its hybrid crew had become something the galaxy had never seen before. A fusion of human determination and alien technology, driven by the desperate fury of a species that refused to stay extinct. They were no longer just survivors seeking revenge. They had become evolution itself, showing the universe that adaptation was stronger than destruction. The hunt had begun, and the aliens were about to learn that humans made very poor victims but excellent predators. 3 years had passed since the first attack, and the Buchan was no longer the same ship that had lifted off from Earth. Captain Taman Park stood in what had once been the bridge, but the room had grown and changed, its living walls expanding to accommodate new systems and crew stations. He was no longer entirely human either, his body modified with alien biology that let him interface directly with every system on the ship. "Report," he said, his voice traveling through the neural network to reach every crew member instantly. "We've hit 17 targets in the last 6 months," replied Major Yunji Lim, her consciousness now distributed across the ship's intelligence systems. Military bases, supply convoys, research stations. The aliens are starting to adapt their tactics. Through the ship's sensors, Taman could see the latest prize floating in space nearby. A captured alien dreadnought, one of the massive warships that had once burned Earth's cities. The ship was now crewed by humans whose bodies had been modified to interface with alien technology, making them more effective pilots than the original alien crew. "How many ships do we have now?" he asked. 12, reported Chief Engineer Wu Jin-song, who had become so integrated with the ship's systems that his human body was kept alive by biomechanical life support. "All captured alien vessels, all upgraded with our hybrid technology. We're becoming a proper fleet." The captured ships were marvels of human and alien engineering combined. Human creativity had improved alien weapon systems, making them more deadly and unpredictable. Alien biotechnology had enhanced human reflexes and intelligence, creating crew members who could think faster and fight better than either species could manage alone. Dr. So-Jin Kim, now more machine than woman, appeared as a holographic projection in the command center. Her physical body was deep in the ship's core, permanently connected to the biological computers that ran the vessel's most complex systems. "The genetic modification program is showing excellent results," she reported. "We can now create new crew members specifically designed for different ship systems. The latest batch of fighter pilots have reaction times 3 times faster than baseline humans." Taman nodded. The ship was literally growing new people now, using genetic material from the original survivors to create humans whose biology was perfectly adapted for hybrid technology. These new crew members were born already connected to the ship's neural network, raised from childhood to think of the vessel as part of their own body. What about resistance from other human survivors? He asked. Major Yunji pulled up data from communication intercepts. Mixed reactions. Some survivor groups are trying to develop their own hybrid technology based on our broadcasts. Others are horrified by what we've become and want nothing to do with us. And the aliens? Terrified, she replied with satisfaction. They've never faced an enemy that adapts this quickly. Every time they develop new countermeasures, we modify our approach and overcome them. They're starting to call us the corruption in their communications. Through the neural link, Taemin felt the ship's amusement at that description. The aliens saw the human modifications to their technology as a disease, a contamination of their perfect biological systems. They couldn't understand that humans saw those modifications as improvements. Captain, came a new voice through the network. It was Lieutenant Boram Shin, who commanded one of the boarding teams. We're ready to assault the research facility. Taemin shifted his consciousness to view the target, a massive alien research station hidden in an asteroid field. Intelligence suggested it was where the aliens studied captured technology from other species, trying to understand how different civilizations developed their weapons and defenses. What's our approach? He asked. The station is heavily defended, Boram replied, but they're expecting a direct assault. I want to try something different. On the tactical display, Taemin watched as Boram's plan unfolded. Instead of attacking with the full fleet, she would take a single modified fighter and crash land inside the station's docking bay. Her boarding team, their bodies enhanced with alien biology, would fight their way to the research labs and steal whatever technology they could find. It's risky, Taemin said. If you're captured, they'll learn how our modifications work. Then we won't get captured, Boram replied grimly. Her body had been so extensively modified that she could survive in vacuum for short periods and interface directly with alien computer systems. She was the perfect weapon for this kind of mission. The assault began with a feint attack by the main fleet, drawing the station's defenses away from the docking bays. Boram's fighter, its hull modified to look like debris, drifted past the distracted guards and crashed into the station's interior. Through the neural link, every crew member on the Bukan could feel what Boram experienced as she fought through the alien facility. The station's defenders were larger and stronger than humans, but they moved too slowly and thought too predictably. Boram's enhanced reflexes and hybrid weapons cut through them like a knife through paper. Found the research labs, she reported, her thoughts traveling instantly across space to the fleet. They've been studying our technology, trying to figure out how we modify their systems. What did they learn? Taemin asked. Nothing useful, Boram replied with grim satisfaction. They're trying to understand human creativity with alien logic. They can copy what we do, but they can't understand why we do it. The boarding team spent 2 hours in the research facility, downloading every piece of data they could find and stealing samples of experimental technology. When they finally retreated, they left behind a facility in flames and several dozen dead alien researchers. But the real prize came when Dr. So-Jin analyzed the stolen data. They've been studying other species, she reported excitedly. Dozens of races that they've conquered or exterminated over the centuries. And some of those species developed technologies we've never seen. The data included weapon designs, defensive systems, and propulsion technologies from civilizations that had been dead for thousands of years. Each one represented a new way to modify and improve their hybrid systems. Start integration immediately, Taemin ordered. I want every useful technology incorporated into our ships within 6 months. As the fleet moved toward their next target, Taemin felt the changes spreading through the ship around him. New weapon systems grew from the walls like living things. Modified crew members adapted to control systems that had never existed before. The ship's biological computers evolved to process technologies from a dozen different civilizations. The aliens had made a fatal mistake when they destroyed Earth. They had assumed that eliminating humanity's cities and killing most of its population would end the threat, but humans had never been defined by their cities or their numbers. They had been defined by their ability to adapt, to learn, to take the tools of their enemies and make them better. Now that adaptive ability was enhanced by alien biology, and powered by technologies from across the galaxy. The hybrid fleet had become something unprecedented, a fusion of every successful military innovation from every species the aliens had ever fought. "Captain," reported the navigation officer, "we're approaching the Rigel system. The alien fleet base there has 47 ships, including 3 of their newest dreadnoughts." "Good," Taman replied, feeling the hunting instincts of his enhanced crew stirring through the neural network. "It's time to test our new weapons." The battle at Rigel would be different from their previous attacks. This time they wouldn't just be fighting aliens. They would be fighting alien technology enhanced by the combined knowledge of every species that had ever opposed them. It would be a true test of which approach was superior, alien perfectionism or human adaptability. As the hybrid fleet moved toward battle, Taman felt something he had never experienced before, the certainty that humanity had not just survived extinction, but had evolved beyond it. They were no longer the species that had been burned from Earth's surface. They had become something new, something that took the best from every enemy and made it part of themselves. The aliens had taught them a valuable lesson when they destroyed Earth. Destruction was temporary, but adaptation was forever. Now it was time to teach the aliens what humans had learned from that lesson. 5 years after leaving Earth's ruins, Admiral Taman Park no longer had a human body. His consciousness existed throughout the hybrid fleet, distributed across 12 captured alien ships and the original Bukon. When he thought, every ship in the fleet thought with him. When he felt emotion, 2,000 hybrid crew members shared that feeling through the neural network that connected them all. "Target acquired," reported Haiwan through the collective consciousness. She was the fleet's primary pilot now. Her awareness spread across every ship simultaneously. Velkaris Prime, the alien homeworld. Through a million sensors, Taman studied the enemy planet. It was beautiful in its own way, covered with geometric cities that rose from the surface like crystal mountains. Billions of aliens lived there, the core population of the empire that had tried to wipe out humanity. They had never known defeat, never imagined that their victims might someday come for revenge. "Defenses?" he asked. "Massive," replied Major Yunji, her intelligence systems analyzing the planet's orbital fortifications. Planetary shield generators, orbital weapons platforms, defense fleets. They've been preparing for this moment since our first attack. But preparation meant little against an enemy that adapted faster than countermeasures could be developed. The hybrid fleet had evolved far beyond anything the aliens could understand. Each ship was part biological organism, part mechanical construct, part digital intelligence. They could change their tactics, their weapons, even their physical structure in response to new threats. Dr. Sojin's consciousness touched Taimins through the network. Her latest creation was ready, a biological virus designed to target alien neural networks. It wouldn't kill them, but it would change them, forcing their rigid genetic structure to accept chaotic human adaptability. "The virus is loaded into our bioweapons," she reported. "One successful hit on their planetary atmosphere, and it will spread to every alien on the surface within days." "And then?" Taman asked. "Then they become like us," she replied. "Part human, part alien, capable of growth and change instead of locked into their perfect genetic patterns." The final battle began not with weapons but with words. Taman broadcast a message to every communication network on the planet below, his voice carrying across billions of screens and speakers. "5 years ago, you came to our world," he said, his words reaching every alien on the planet simultaneously. "You burned our cities, killed our families, poisoned our air and water. You left us for dead because you believed we were inferior. Weak, disposable, on the planet's surface, alien leaders watched in horror as images appeared on their screens. Earth before the invasion, showing green forests and blue oceans and cities full of life. Then Earth after, showing the burned wasteland they had left behind. You made one mistake," Taman continued. "You assumed that destruction was final, that dead meant gone forever. But you never understood what made humans different from all the other species you've exterminated. We don't just survive. We adapt, we evolve. We become stronger." The images shifted to show the hybrid fleet. Ships that were part alien technology, part human innovation, crewed by beings that were no longer entirely human or alien but something new and better than either species alone. "Look at what you created," Taman said. "Your weapons made us desperate. Your technology made us dangerous. Your cruelty made us determined. You tried to make us extinct, and instead you made us infinite. The planetary defenses opened fire, sending massive energy beams toward the hybrid fleet. But the ships didn't fight like alien vessels or human ones. They moved like living things, flowing around the attacks like water around stones, their biomechanical hulls adapting to absorb and redirect energy that should have destroyed them. HFY took the Bukhan into a dive that no alien ship could have survived, its living hull stretching and contracting like muscle as it slipped between orbital defense platforms. Behind it, the other ships followed in a complex dance of attack and evasion that confused alien targeting, systems designed to track predictable formations. The hybrid weapons were unlike anything the aliens had prepared for. Biomechanical missiles that could change course mid-flight, seeking out weaknesses in enemy shields. Plasma cannons that fired living energy, consuming enemy ships from the inside. Boarding pods that could breach hull plating and then grow into it, becoming part of the enemy vessel. But the real weapon was the virus. Dr. Sojin had engineered it to spread through alien biomechanical systems, the same neural networks that their ships and cities used for communication and control. One infected ship became a carrier, spreading the virus to every vessel it encountered. Planetary shields are fluctuating, reported Lieutenant Young-Soo. His consciousness was linked to the fleet's sensor arrays, monitoring the battle from 1,000 different perspectives. The virus is spreading through their control networks. On the planet's surface, alien cities began to change. Their perfect geometric patterns started to shift and flow, becoming more organic, more chaotic. The rigid alien society that had conquered half the galaxy was being infected with human unpredictability and creativity. They're trying to purge their networks, Yunji reported. But the virus adapts faster than they can develop countermeasures. That was the key to human success. Adaptation. While aliens tried to perfect their existing systems, humans constantly modified and improved theirs. Every attack taught them something new. Every defeat showed them a better way to fight. The orbital battle lasted 18 hours. When it was over, the hybrid fleet controlled the space around Velkari's Prime, and the virus had infected every major alien installation on the planet. The invasion was complete, but not in the way anyone would have expected. Taemin didn't land troops on the alien homeworld. He didn't demand surrender or tribute. Instead, he did something much more profound. He offered partnership. Your empire is finished, he broadcast to the infected planet. Your perfect society is becoming something chaotic and unpredictable. You can fight this change and die, or you can embrace it and live. The virus didn't just infect alien technology. It infected alien thinking, forcing their rigid minds to consider possibilities they had never imagined. For the first time in their history, aliens began to question their own superiority, to wonder if there might be better ways to live than the patterns their ancestors had followed for millennia. Some aliens did fight the change, trying to purge the virus from their systems and return to their old ways. But others embraced it, allowing human adaptability to merge with alien perfection, creating something stronger than either species alone. Years passed. The hybrid civilization that emerged from the ruins of the alien empire was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Former enemy worlds became laboratories of evolution, where the boundaries between species blurred and new forms of life emerged daily. The Bukhan, now grown to the size of a small moon, served as the heart of this new civilization. Admiral Taemin's consciousness guided exploration fleets to distant galaxies, spreading the message that diversity and adaptation were the universe's greatest strengths. On Earth, now healed by hybrid biotechnology and populated by beings who were part human, part alien, and part something entirely new, monuments honored those who had died in the invasion, but the greatest monument was what humanity had become. Not a single species confined to one world, but an adaptable, ever-evolving force that turned every challenge into an opportunity for growth. The aliens had come to Earth to prove their superiority by exterminating an inferior species. Instead, they had created their own successors, a hybrid civilization that combined the best of both species while transcending the limitations of either. In the end, the aliens had been right about one thing: the old humanity was extinct, but from its ashes had risen something far greater, something that carried human determination and alien capabilities to every corner of the galaxy. The final message: broadcast from the hybrid civilization to the entire universe, was simple but profound. They came to make us extinct. Instead, they made us infinite.